Hi everyone and welcome. Today we are doing the fabulous episode. I'm Biliana and I'm joined by Jordan, Sophia and Denisha, and I'm going to pass it over to them to introduce themselves and what they do, and we'll take it from there. So Jordan, do you want to start?
Yeah, hi, so I'm Jordan, account manager at Capgemini. I graduated from the apprenticeship back in 2020.
Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm a project analyst at Capgemini. I started in September 2020 and I'm on the CMDA programme.
Nice. And Denisha.
Hi, I'm Denisha. I am a Scrum Master at Capgemini. I started in March 2021 and I'm also on the CMDA course.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to start it off light and I'm just going to talk about networking and sort of socialising. We're going to talk about the fun side of the apprenticeships and the apprentice life. And one of the first things that I had to do when I first came into the company and started my apprenticeship was start to really build that professional network and start socialising. And because of the level of apprenticeship that I'm on, and because it was COVID times, I didn't have that socialising aspect at first. But then as I sort of got more into the apprenticeship, it started to pick up. And I just wanted to know, how did you find that at the beginning of your apprenticeship? I mean, I know we've all started at different places, but did you find that networking was easy? Were you nervous? Did the socials help? How was it?
So I started during COVID. So for the first 4 months, it was like basically working virtually. And it was great, but I think for me, because I found it really hard at first starting in a corporate company, I liked the fact that I got to know people virtually. Mm-hmm. And then when I first went into the office, it kind of broke that barrier a bit more because I kind of built connections whilst working from home. So I had something to talk to people about, but it was still a bit weird. Like, you were talking to people for about 4 months and they were like, hi, you are, and I was like, Denisha, known each other for 4 months.
Yeah. I really struggled in the beginning because it was COVID, my first corporate job, and I'm working from home like instantly. I had my cohort I joined with and a couple of people I knew off the bat, but ever since we started coming into the office, that's when my network started to build, and I finally started to actually like put names to faces, and it's just been amazing ever since. But that it was a real struggle coming in lockdown and trying to like gauge everything that I had to do, because you know when you're face to face, it's so much easier.
I know. Yeah. What about you, Jordan?
Well, yeah, so I think because I joined in 2015, it's very different.
Yeah.
Like I did my training periods, and then literally straight after that, I was here in London, in office. So I think for me, I was literally in office meeting people like pretty much straight away. I think it did massively help. I mean, speaking to like yous who started in lockdown and not meeting anyone for 4 months, I can imagine that being quite difficult. Obviously, especially in our jobs, is all about like working with people, like teamwork, like all that stuff. So for me, like sort of meeting people very, very quickly, being in and around the office, and as you said, the socials, I think really help, just like from the informal side, because I think if you can like get on a good level with someone informally, it really helps when you're then in the office having to work with them. It's just a bit more personal. So I think for me it was coming straight in from school as well, and then being in this kind of corporate environment in sort of a big city, it was quite big, but it definitely helped kind of compared to like you guys joining and not seeing anyone and doing it all remotely. So
Yeah, I get that though, but one of the things I think that makes us, or at least helps us be as fabulous as we are, is the networking that we got to do.
Massive.
So, like for example, when I'm speaking to like students and they ask me, why is LinkedIn important? And I'll tell them on my first day, I didn't have a LinkedIn, so the first thing I had to do as like my sort of job was create a LinkedIn account. And in the matter of like a few months, it went from like 0 to 1,000 people. And I was like, what is going on? So I think for me personally, networking at CAP and sort of from meeting all the people that are kind of connected to CAP, the networking really helped me to sort of meet more people, new perspectives, new ideas, everything like that. So that is one thing that sort of helped me become a bit more fabulous. It feels so weird saying that. And as well as I just wanted to hear, like, in terms of networking, did you find it hard, or like did you only sort of network with like, was it just apprentices, or was it senior people? Was it all different levels? How was it for you?
In the beginning, it was mainly apprentices, and I had my manager on the account that I knew I was going to join, and the apprentice team at the time. But since I've been working, I've literally had doors open to meeting so many people, and being so junior in a brand new company, it felt quite daunting at the beginning, but I quickly realised just like they're people as well. So like I'm talking to maybe an account exec or my manager who's like so many levels above me, but it doesn't feel that way. They're just normal people at the end of the day. So I've learned so much from the beginning, just from networking and meeting these people. It's just a lot to learn from them. They're so knowledgeable.
I think for me, so when I started, I was the only apprentice on my project, and I didn't really have the kind of meeting Capgemini apprentices like a lot of other apprentices started, because there was only 2 of us. So for me, I think I started off working a lot with seniors because that was kind of what my job role was. And then as soon as it hit September and we had more socials and stuff like that, and the cohort actually opened, I began talking to more apprentices. So I think I had the opposite from you. I started off with seniors and then grew to start speaking to apprentices. But I think with Cat, like you said, everyone is so approachable. Like, you can speak to anyone. Like, I think about 2 weeks ago, one of the CEOs from Netherlands like messaged me, and it felt like I was talking to someone that I've worked with for ages, because he was so nice. Whereas usually you'd be like, oh my god, he's a CEO, don't talk to me. Like, I was so scared, but it was so normal. Like, the conversation was so relaxed and really friendly. So
Jordan, you're a bit different because obviously you've started in 2015, did you say?
Yeah.
So in terms of sort of the networking and speaking to seniors, speaking to juniors, apprentices, stuff like that, do you think that it takes you a bit out of your comfort zone, or did it take you a bit out of your comfort zone?
Yeah, so I think similarly to you, I think, so when I first joined, I had joined in sort of down the technical route and very quickly realised that it's not necessarily for me. So very quickly in my CAP career, I actually transitioned to a sales role, or like account management, which was sort of at that point in time, there was very, very small amount of grads and no apprentices. And as we know, a lot of sort of senior people, older people with experience in like account management roles. So very quickly, like yourself, I was working with senior people, very different environment to like what the normal, like the other apprentices, their route were going down. So, and at the same time, because there wasn't a lot of apprentices doing, or no apprentices at the time doing the same thing, it was hard to relate and sort of have these conversations with the apprentices, because my role was just very different. So yeah, it was a little bit backwards as well, in the sense of I had to kind of build the senior relationships first, and then almost try and then sort of when I was further down the line, be a bit of an advocate for bringing other apprentices and grads in down the sales route, which was good, and the networking really helped for that bit in particular, especially with like the apprenticeship team, people who are running the programs, talking about my route because it was so different, but also then getting the support from like the senior people who, I guess for them it was new as well, because they weren't used to having sort of junior members in their team and teaching them kind of the ways of account management and business development. So for them, it was sort of they were supporting me, and I think that helped them sort of realise the value of sort of apprentices, junior talent in this particular space. So I think between us, we could then use that to then help network out to the wider community of apprentices, grads, internally and externally, about what the role is, what it offers, how it can benefit the wider company.
Sounds good. Okay, so I want to link that back to stepping out of your comfort zone. I know one thing for me that Capgemini and my apprenticeship really did was push me. And I remember in the beginning, I was I was very shy, I was very unsure, and the whole thing was pretty scary for me because, 2 days into my role, it's locked down and it's all virtual, and I kind of, called my boss and I was like, what am I doing? And it was all scary and nerve-wracking at the beginning. And then as I sort of got into it, with the amount of support that you get from CAP, from the apprentice community, from seniors, from juniors, I found myself like being challenged, but in a good way. It wasn't like a challenge where you're doomed to fail. It was like challenged just enough to succeed and to help you through it. So I feel like my apprenticeship and Capgemini for, nearly 3 years now, have really pushed me outside of my comfort zone, and I've gotten involved in things that, are not necessarily a part of my day-to-day role or part of my apprenticeship. And it wasn't things that I needed to do, it was things that I really wanted to, because CAP really helped me to sort of ignite that passion. So linking it back to the personal growth and passion, what did CAP do for you in the sort of years that you've been here? Or what did your apprenticeship do for you that sort of made you step out your comfort zone? Can you think of like one time you stepped out of your comfort zone?
I can give one. So I absolutely hated talking to people. Like, I hated organising events, I hated anything to do with people, which is really weird because my job consists of talking to people on a daily basis. But if it was talking to people face to face with about 100 people and then all of them watching me, I couldn't do it. Like, I found it really, really hard. And I think about 9 months into my apprenticeship, my manager just was like, I want you to present this bit. And honestly, I think if she hadn't done it, I would never have been as confident as I am. And now, 2 years on, looking at who I am and who I started, we're two completely different people. Yeah. I used to look at everything I did, I'd double check it, I'd always have to get someone to check it, make sure that it was good. I'd never have that self-confidence that I knew what I was doing. And because of the help of my managers, the people I work with, I'm so much more confident personally and professionally. So yeah, definitely. I think
they really just throw you out there in the deep end.
Yeah, they just put you out there and they're like, you can do it. And
you
then
swim.
You quickly realise that you've definitely got it. I found with myself, like, I went straight onto an account who I only had myself and the PMO manager in our PMO team. We were quite small, and he was giving us, myself, tasks, and I was thinking, oh my God, like, I don't know any of this. But he was like, you can do it, you've been shown how to do it, I believe in you, kind of thing. And I, like Denisha, my confidence has grown so much in the last 2 years. Completely different person to when I first joined. Coming into a corporate job from working in retail, it's like opposite ends of the earth.
Yeah.
But I quickly realised that I did actually have it in me to do the types of tasks that they wanted us to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite daunting when you first join, especially if you I joined straight from school, so I was like 18 when I first joined, sort of getting I think personally I've always been quite a confident person, but there's still an element of being quite daunting coming into a big company, your first time working. But as you said, I think being thrown in the deep end, which they do very much like to do here, I think is very beneficial because you just pick things up fast, but there's the right support as well. So if you do fail, which you're ultimately going to do at some point, to make mistakes, then it's in a safe space and you've got that support around you to make sure that it's not the end of the world and you learn from it. So there's been plenty of times throughout my both career and apprenticeship sort of where I've had to step out my comfort zone, very early doing presentations, very early getting involved in conversations with clients, being involved in big deals, and taking sort of big responsibility on those. So and each one as you get more experience, you kind of go on to the next thing and take bigger roles, and it's more responsibility and you're stretching yourself even more. So there's plenty of examples, I guess, across, I've been here for over 7 years now, so it seems like I've been here for ages. But yeah, I mean, it's all very good. I mean, as you said, it's for stepping outside your comfort zone. I think we all wouldn't be in the position we are today if you don't do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the benefit of it is, you know, by far better than the feeling of dawn going into these situations. So yeah.
Yeah. I agree. And I think that's what makes sort of Capgemini Apprentices fabulous. I keep using the word because that's what the episode is about, guys. But I think coming back to fabulous and sort of sticking to the theme of stepping outside of your comfort zone, you guys have done a lot of volunteering. That's because I ping you all the time, to ask you all the time to volunteer for schools. And Denisha, I remember actually when you first joined, Michelle pointed me into your direction, and I remember how nervous you were. And I thought, God, I remember how nervous I was. Because the first talk I ever did was like, it was virtual, and it was like a couple of thousand students on the call. And although it is virtual, you still feel that pressure. So in terms of public speaking, I think the apprentices and the apprentice community is really great in that area, because I've met some senior people who have said to me, like, you guys make it look easy. So although it's not, the behind the scenes we're nervous. So in terms of volunteering, let's sort of talk a bit about that. How did you guys find it, and what did that do for you personally?
Do you want to go?
You can go. I think for me, when I was in year 12, I had one person that came and spoke about how they were in a school and they did sixth form, and then things went differently for them, and then eventually they ended up at a job that they really wanted. And for me, at that age, looking at how confident they were, even though things didn't go the way they thought it would have gone when they finished school, they were still really successful. And I've always held on to that since I've gone into a career. And I want to be that person that tells people that, yeah, if you don't get a degree, that's not the end route. Like, there are so many more options out there. And I think specifically degree apprenticeships, no one really knows about them still, and people still think like a degree apprenticeship is the second option for a degree, which it isn't. So that's something that I really want to push out and get out. So that's why I enjoy volunteering.
Inspiring the youth.
Inspiring them.
What about you, Sophia?
I've actually been quite fortunate to be invited back to my old secondary school quite a few times to do some talks around Capgemini and project management. And I just remember being back in sixth form, and everyone in my year was focused on UCAS and uni. I think there was maybe like 15 of us who were like, don't think uni's for me right now. What are our other options? And at the time, this is only like 5-6 years ago, at the time they were like, you could go into a job, you could do this, but there wasn't that focus on the degree apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like so lucky to be able to go back and say there is a different route if, you know, for whatever reason you don't get the A-levels you want, or you fancy to push yourself into a career and start earning and learning. But yeah, it's just, it's great to be able to go back and say to people, this is what I do, this is what Capgemini is all about, and the options there, really.
Yeah. Do you find that, you know, I remember in high school I felt a bit lost, and especially in sixth form when everyone else was like, yes, university, go,
I know,
go.
everyone was like, oh, I know what I want to do, and I was just sort of sat there like, I have no idea what I want to do. All I know is I like this subject and this subject. Let's try and get into that.
Yeah, and the thing is, the schools, at least back when I was in sixth form, tended to push more towards
Very much
uni,
so,
Yeah.
and I didn't feel that sort of support from them. You know, they said, you know, uni's really good, go to uni.
I
Don't pay
always felt that
attention.
uni was the only option at the time, because there wasn't that grounding with everything else. It just felt if you went straight into a job, you know, you might be lost for a bit.
Yeah.
But actually, I took that time out and went into a job, and I actually really love it.
Yeah.
Because it's still, one of my passions at school was business studies, and you know, obviously working in a business like this, I see so many like links into the industry. But being able to go back to my school and sort of talk in front of people and say, you have got the option to do something that isn't what maybe schools are pushing, you know, you've always got something else if you feel lost.
But that's why you're there. The school isn't pushing, but that's why you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
To inspire them.
I think there's like, it's probably got a lot better now, but I think when I was finishing school, and as you said, it was like a massive push to go to university, but I also think there's probably some lack of understanding from like parents as well. Especially, so I did a school visit at CAP once when I was on my apprenticeship, and we set up like a stall for CAP and all that stuff. It was like a fair, careers fair. I remember this kid was like looking at the stuff we had on the desk and everything, and his like dad came over, and he like just saw the word apprenticeship, and he was like, "Oh no, you don't want to do that, son." And so I like started speaking to the kid, and then like explaining what it was to the kid and to the dad, and he obviously, probably back when he was younger, apprenticeships were very different, and there wasn't as many options as there are now. So I was explaining about what makes a degree apprenticeship different. In fact, you still go to university, you still do the degree. You know, the benefits of earning while learning, and it's, you know, being paid for, and all the good stuff about not just Capgemini but degree apprentices in general. And I think that helped the kid, but also the adult, the parent, like educate him on, you know, it's not just about going to university. There are these different options out there. At the time, I think that, you know, degree apprenticeships were relatively a new kind of thing. I think it's a lot different now, which is great. But at the time, that was, it annoyed me when the parent was like, you don't want to do that. So, don't be like that parent. So,
No, I get that. I still get that from some parents. And to be fair, my parents were one of those parents. But I was kind of like, I was always that child that said, you know what, I have a plan. I can't really tell you if it will work, but I'll make it work. Just sit tight, sort of thing. But that's another thing that's really great about you guys, and what makes you really fabulous is that it's not a part of your day-to-day job. Like, you have to actually give up time and go out of your way to volunteer, and you have to, you know, there's briefing calls that you have to do with me, and the briefing emails, and then you go to the school, and now you can do it in person as well. You've done it virtually, I think, all of you.
I've done a couple in person.
I never did any virtual.
Oh, you didn't do virtual? No. But you've done in person.
Yeah, I did a lot of my volunteering when I was on programme, so luckily it was all in person.
Virtual, though, sometimes is so weird, because you're like, I don't know if people are listening to me,
or if they're on their phone behind the
like,
screen.
am I actually like reaching these people? Yeah. It's just so weird. So like doing stuff in person is a lot better, because you can sort of see who's actually like proper interested in what you have to say. And then you can like go and chat to them afterwards. But when you're in a big call, it's always just like, oh, I wonder if anyone's actually going to follow up on that.
But also, I think like for them, they're probably like, I don't want to ask a question in front of thousands of people. I don't even know. Like, even when we did work experience, the difference between working virtually and the guys that came in was so different. Like, they were so much more involved when they were in the office. They dressed up, so they were more into like working in a business.
Like ready for the day.
They were talking a little bit more better, because we had it first virtually on the Monday, and then on Tuesday the way they spoke also changed a tiny bit. They were a lot more formal. So I think like nothing beats real life.
Let's go back to work experience then, because work experience is another sort of option for everyone, not just apprentices, everyone, to volunteer into the company and to give back. And as the person who is organising it this year, and I've been involved every year for the past 3 years, it's a really big project, and it's hundreds of students that apply. I think last year was like over 400 students that applied. This year, over 400 again. And, you know, you guys were a part of the hosting, whether you hosted yourself or as a part of a team that was hosting. You, again, went out of your way to be fabulous and host. And it is a bigger task than like a day-to-day sort of volunteering, because the day-to-day is very much a few hours. You go in, you speak to the students, you come back in. But work experience is like a whole week, and you're managing essentially these students, and you're trying to show them how professional you are. How was that for you?
It was honestly, I think one of the best experiences I've ever done.
Nice. Glad to hear.
I know, just like being so junior and getting the opportunity to say, do you know what, I want to host that, and being part of a team who were fabulous, by the way, like literally they made it so good. I think we had 5 students that week, and we ran through the day in the life of the PMO because we were running like the businessy side of the work experience that week. And it was just like so great to be able to be involved with the work experience and teach students who were interested in CAP or interested in, you know, a job in business to say, do you know what, this is what we do day to day. Have you got any questions? And like the students were so engaged, which was like, I wasn't expecting a lot because we did it virtual. It was just like a fab experience. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Nice. Oi.
I had kind of like a different version. I loved it, but for me, a lot of them were like technical students. So it was trying to not persuade them, but to tell them there are different avenues. There is a technical side, and we did have like data engineers. We got them to create their own dashboard using their own laptops and Power BI, etc. But it was also to say, yeah, if you're interested in this, but CAP have so many more opportunities out there. Yeah, we do have it is a very technical based company, but you learn a lot of soft skills as well. So I think that's what I really loved, is to show people that always look more. There's always more to a company than it seems, and
it's not just one thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
And you're not stuck either.
Yeah.
There's always avenues you can explore.
So we've touched on work experience and the volunteering stuff, which is all the things that make you guys fabulous. But Jordan, I'm gonna aim this one at you, because you know you've done all the volunteering, you've done the work experience stuff, you've done the day-to-day job. They've thrown you into the deep end, and then on top of all of that, you want to make your life harder and start your own business. Tell us about it.
Yes, yeah. So I started my own business. It's a clothing business back in 2020. So I around the same time of finishing my degree. So didn't fancy a break or anything like that. Just finished my degree and shown something else. But no, I've always been I've always been interested and passionate about starting a business. I think going to CAP and doing the whole apprenticeship thing really helped in terms of understanding what skills are needed for that. So the course I did was the CMDA, the business course as well. So as you guys will know, the modules you do in that really help you with getting enough fundamental understanding of what goes into making a business, whether that's at Capgemini scale, which is global, or at a very, very small scale, which is obviously where I am at the moment. But yeah, I sort of had a passion for clothing, retail. I work within the retail sector at CAP, so was able to use some of that industry understanding and knowledge, and decided to create my own business outside of work. So so run a sort of a clothing business, work very closely with a lot of influencers across the UK and the US. Takes up a good amount of time outside of work. It's full on, but it's what I enjoy doing. It's a passion of mine. I've got the support from CAP, the guys at CAP. When I first started it, sort of was very transparent with them. This is what I wanted to do. Made sure that it wasn't going to cause any issues. But actually, CAP have been very, very supportive of, keen and interested in how it's going, supporting wherever they can. Even if it's just talking to people in the company around elements of it, getting their advice, that kind of thing. It's been really good. So, CAP have been really good at supporting that. I think the biggest thing is the time. It takes a lot of time to do these things, but when it's something you're passionate about, I guess you make it work somehow, shape, or form. So
I think the reoccurring theme here is that CAP are great. So shout out CAP, shout out CAP. But you mentioned something about making it work, and it takes a lot of time. You were still on projects. You were still doing your day-to-day job. So how did you sort of manage your time? How did you I guess the work-life balance, how did you do it?
Yeah, so it's I guess for me it was defining. It's, you know, you've got the work-life balance, and then for me it was creating a work-business life balance, because I still got to have time for family, friends,
And
my own
everything
time,
else,
and
yeah.
everything else. So, it was quite key to kind of define what that means. Understand your priorities. Right, the work at CAP is obviously, you know, the main priority in terms of being able to, you know, pay bills, you know, progress my career, that kind of thing. So for me, it was around defining, okay, what is it? Why do I want to create a business? What is it I want to get out of it? Understanding how that fits in with the wider career development at CAP and how that all works. And then just kind of working out, you know, how the best way of divvying up my time. Obviously, the flexible working at CAP is great since obviously COVID and stuff, and just the more flexible working around that, working from home, all that kind of stuff. That really helps in terms of just enabling free time. A lot of the time that I would have spent studying or the stuff I would be doing for the apprenticeship, I guess I've just kind of used that time. So I was already in a bit of routine because I was having to manage work in uni, and almost like the business has just replaced the uni stuff. So that routine massively helped. But yeah, I think it's just being able to manage your time, which I used to be useless at, and to be honest, I still am. I'm not the best at managing time at all at the moment, but just like finding free time to, you know, do the stuff you need to do, knowing when you need to do certain stuff, whether that's through at work or outside of work, and just being on top of it and just being quite consistent. And just, you know, I think it's when you're passionate about something, it doesn't matter too much because you want to do it. It doesn't feel like a chore, whether you have to get up slightly earlier to do something or, you know,
makes
work.
it easier.
Yeah, exactly, it does, because it doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like something you genuinely want to do, and you know, there's a reason why you're doing it. So I think that massively helps if you're doing something you like to do as well.
Love that for you. We're expecting the merch.
Yeah, we need to get on that.
Right.
We should have all worn it.
I know, that's what they said before that. They were like,
The
Jordan
brand.
should have bought it, and we would have just
free plug,
free plug, shameless plug.
Put the link in the description.
Link in the description. Oh, that would have been funny. No, we should do it though. Next episode. You spoke quite a lot about, you know, your passion, and your business is your passion, so it doesn't feel like work. I mean, at times I'm sure it does, but most of the time it's just what you love to do. It's what you want to do with your time. I think CAP has been really good to me personally in that I get to do what I love every day, which is I love to sort of give back, and you two have also mentioned that you love to give back, and I love that for you. But I kind of want to just almost bring it in a little bit in terms of what is it that, you know, all of our passions are. I mean, Jordan has obviously spoken about his, but mine is I'm very passionate about social mobility. You guys mentioned that when you were at school, you didn't have that many speakers come in and give back and show you that, you know, there's other routes, there's other things that you can do, and we can help you. And when I was in high school, especially in high school, because I wasn't born here, so the language was, I had a big language barrier, and it was really hard to sort of just catch on to things that people were already up. Like, it always felt like I was behind and trying to catch up to everyone. And I remember this one time in assembly, I loved assembly, didn't we all love assembly? This one time in assembly, I don't remember his name because it was a very long time ago, but it was a guest speaker that he came in, and he just he was very motivational but also very inspiring, and I just remember really appreciating him because, you know, he gave the talk. It was like a 20-minute talk, and then after that he just stayed behind to just talk to all of us, and there was maybe like 5 to 10 of us who really wanted to speak to him one-on-one, and he gave that time and he made time for it. And I remember he spoke to 2 boys who I was friends with, and those boys really like connected to him, and they felt very supported, which they hadn't felt supported by the school. And I just remember thinking in that moment, I want to do this. I want to do this for everyone. I want to do it for students who, you know, don't necessarily get the opportunities that they deserve. And I want everyone to have that opportunity so that they can then reach out and get it for themselves. So social mobility is a really sort of big part of my life, and I'm lucky enough that the job that I do day to day is kind of like naturally goes hand in hand with social mobility, because the whole program, the education employability program that you guys have volunteered for, is very big on social mobility, and it's kind of the foundation is social mobility. So you guys have been fabulous too, and you might have not realized it, but you're helping that advancement of social mobility. You're helping those students from different backgrounds, different ethnic backgrounds, different everything, to get those chances and get the opportunity. So big ups to you guys. And I hope to you know, have you guys on the program again, have your work experience or whatever it is. And I guess my question for you is, what did you, I mean, of course you're bringing in value into the company, into the program itself. You're giving a lot to these students. Sometimes you don't realize, but you do. What would you say to other apprentices in terms of, you know, how can they be fabulous? What is it in CAP or in the apprenticeship that they can sort of do or take on that will make them stand out, that will make them fabulous? Or even, not even apprentices that are currently on an apprenticeship, maybe like future apprentices. What would you say to them?
I suppose, like you were talking about that guy in the assemblies, it's moments like that that will stick with people for life.
Yeah.
So at Capgemini, as apprentices, we have so many opportunities to get involved with different things. We've got loads of different like inclusivity streams and stuff like that. It's just to get stuck in, get involved, find your passion, and then everything else will follow from there. Because when you're doing something you're passionate about, all like the positivity, the energy, it all comes from that, and you'll do well in it always, because like Jordan, you were saying earlier about your business, you're happy to be doing it.
Yeah.
And it just makes life so much easier when you've got your passion and you're going for it.
Yeah. I feel like you get recognised for these things as well.
Yeah,
at CAP.
massively. Like so many times I've seen like posts on our team's channels about so and so's doing this, and it's just, it's great to like hear. It's really like positive and just like gives you a little boost.
Yeah, I like the boost. Like none of it goes sort of unnoticed. And I've had just like random people, you know, just drop me a message and say, you know, congratulations on this thing. For my work with social mobility, I got an award. I got the silver award from the Social Mobility UK Awards, and I know that there's quite a few awards at Capgemini who that are dedicated to sort of awarding people for doing the extra bit of work and, you know, making the time. I think, I don't know, Denisha, I might be completely wrong here, but were you nominated for an award or something?
Yeah, I was nominated for the Women in Tech Award.
There you go.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What was that about? Can you break it down for us?
So, to be fair, in our project, it just basically grew. So we had about 30 people and it grew to about 100 people.
Oh, wow.
And I was the only PMO on that team when it grew from 30 to 100 people. So it was basically trying to be a PMO, a junior EM, all of that in what, like probably working a little bit longer than I should have been as an apprentice. But I wanted to do it because I wanted people to be in the project and know exactly what they were doing. Like I didn't want them to start and be really confused for about a week and have no one contact them. And because that did happen quite a few times in the beginning. And because of that, I think my manager put me for Hero of the Year just because I think there was a lot of people that said that they really did appreciate that one step further. So, like you guys said, probably just maybe going a bit more extra to make someone else feel better.
Yeah.
You might not think that even having a 10-minute call with a new person will make a difference, but it does. It just makes them feel that in such a big company they know one person. So
yeah,
probably.
congratulations.
It is, congratulations.
Thank you.
But it is such a big company. I feel like, especially since, I mean, for you guys who joined in lockdown, it must have been very difficult not meeting people or just working from home for, without actually knowing the people you're working with properly on a personal level. So yeah, I think definitely even just reaching out to someone, speaking to people like who maybe been new or a bit unsure in a new role or whatever, just like it does go a long way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think everyone appreciates it. Everyone appreciates that bit of extra work we put in, and we get praised for it. It gets recognized. So I think let's bring it back to one of the things that we all hear every single day at Capgemini, which is get the future you want. It's like our slogan, right? And I don't think I've heard it anything like that in with any other company. Get the future you want. And when I first heard it, I had to really sit and think about it, like, what does that mean? Not just for Capgemini, but what does that mean for me and who I want to be and where I want to go? And I think that links in with your business, Jordan, because you really just took life and then went with it. He was like, I'm getting the future I want and I'm going to do it. So I guess the question is, what does that slogan mean to you? And, when you hear get the future you want, where does your brain go? Where do you go?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting slogan, isn't it? Because it's very much about us as the people who work for the company. And given this is obviously a people company, I think it's great in the sense of if you're happy, and as we've all said, if you're passionate about what you're doing, it doesn't feel like it's work. So if everyone here is empowered in either the role they're doing or the role they're doing allows them to do what they want to do alongside that, whether that's with me and my business, you sort of feel happy in what you're doing, you're empowered, you're confident, you want to continue doing what you're doing. That then benefits Capgemini because you're happy and you're doing great stuff. For me, when I hear that, it's sort of it's really taking control of my own career. I'm working for a company, but I'm also working for myself in the sense of I know where I want to get to, whether that's at Cap, whether that's the stuff I'm doing outside of Cap, and just being like having the flexibility to be able to work on both, being able to really dedicate time in the right way to me and what I want to do, and also use the transferable skills, take what I'm doing at Cap and be able to do it outside of Cap, take the stuff I'm doing outside of Cap and bring it in and be able to share that with other people. So I really think it's about just owning it yourself, and I think that's quite rare to find a job that really allows you to do that. A lot of the time if you're working for an organisation, it doesn't have that level of flexibility or just really owning your own career. So yeah, I mean when I hear that, that's what I think of, and I think it's demonstrated through the work I'm doing outside and the fact that it's so supported in Cap. I think it's rare to find a company that will really support you with the level that they do with outside ambitions and passions elsewhere as well. So I think I'm very fortunate for that, and I know other people are who do similar stuff and outside of Cap. So.
Yeah, I agree. I'm completely with you on that one because, when I hear get the future you want, I sort of feel comfortable is not the right word. Confident. Like, it gives me confidence to know that, the company that I work for, and we spend a lot of time at work, naturally, are always there to support me, to back me, to, you're not stuck in a box. You're not stuck at one level and that's it. For me, it just means that my career is my own and I can go wherever I want with it as long as I get up and I not do the work, but just take the opportunity and take initiative. I think that's the big thing about Cap Apprentices, and especially you guys as the fabulous crew. I think it's the main bit about you guys is that you take initiative. You're not kind of sitting there waiting for work to come to you. You go out there and you find it. So over to the girls. What does it mean to you?
Gosh, I think get the future you want sort of reminds me how people focused Capgemini are, and like you were saying, no one tells you to do anything. All these extracurricular things that we've been doing, like Jordan's been doing, no one's told us that you need to do it. It's sort of, they've given you the opportunity. They say you've got extra time to be volunteering, to do all these things. If you want to do it, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice that there's no like clear cut way to do anything or like create the future that you want here.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone's different, everyone's got their own path, and it's nice that we can sort of shape it to include what we want, like your social mobility, you know.
Yeah.
You've got that passion, you can like go for it.
Yeah.
And like for myself, it's volunteering and like giving back to the schools and stuff about apprenticeships. I really love doing that because it's like an opportunity that I like didn't really have when it was my turn to choose, do I want to do uni, do I want to do an apprenticeship kind of thing. I just love like how people focused it is, and it's all about, it's down to the individual how they want to get the future they want kind of thing.
Yeah, we're very people centric, aren't we?
Oh, definitely.
But I love that, and I love the values as well. I think the values are great. I think the values are the main thing that sort of attracted me, and I think for me the values are what make Capgemini fabulous. But because we all share them, makes us fabulous. You know, see how I spin it.
Yeah.
What about you, Denisha?
I'd probably say the same as you. Like, there's no one cut who's in what is successful. Like, anyone can be successful no matter what you do. It just depends on what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I also think you're really comfortable to have a conversation with your manager and just say, like, the route I'm going down isn't the route I want to go. I want to probably, if I wanted to be a BA, I could have that conversation with my manager and she'd find the best route for me. So to have those kind of conversations and to say, like, this is not what I want to do in the future, or I'm not enjoying this, those conversations is definitely what I think get the future you want means. The people here are so, it's not about we're here to make money, it's about what do you want, and we're going to support you to do that.
Yeah, and I think everyone wins.
Yeah, I think when I first joined and was in a completely different route, doing the technical degree in a technical role, and quickly found out that actually that's not really for me. At the time, it was quite daunting in like, okay, well, what is for me? Like, what's next? But sitting down, speaking to people at CAP, doing a bit of rotation to find actually what it is I want to do. I did a few different roles for a short period of time to really work out, okay, where do I see myself fitting in the organisation? And then eventually kind of came across sales and has kind of pursued it ever since. The fact that we can do that is just fantastic, because otherwise you just feel lost or don't know what you want to do or whatever. So
it's nice we're given the chance as well to try different things if what we're on at the moment isn't exactly what we want to do. Yeah, it's just good to have the opportunity.
Yeah, if you don't try, you don't find, right? Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for sharing your business story with us, and volunteering and the work experience. Thank you for making the time. I think it was great. And unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. So thank you for listening, and thank you for joining us. And subscribe, comment, share, buy the merch, all of that, and have a fabulous day. Bye.